Hello everybody, welcome again to the lecture series on signals and systems. In the previous classes we have seen about the types of the signals and types of the systems, and now we will introduce the new topic, that is a Fourier series. So by using this Fourier series we can able to represent the periodic signals in terms of the cosine signal and sine signal, or we can able to represent the periodic signals in terms of the exponential functions. Okay, if we can able to represent one particular periodic signal in terms of the cosine and sine functions, then that is called a trigonometric Fourier series, because cosine and sine are trigonometric functions. Or we can represent any periodic signal in terms of the complex exponentials, that is called exponential Fourier series, because we are representing in terms of the exponentials. Okay, so with that Fourier series we can able to get the frequency representation of the time domain periodic signals. Okay, and this particular Fourier series can be applicable for continuous time periodic signals and also for the discrete time periodic signals, but in your syllabus we have continuous time Fourier series only. That means the Fourier series applicable to continuous time periodic signals only. Okay, we will not go for the discrete Fourier series. Okay, and these are the learning outcomes of this particular lecture, and you will be known about orthogonal vector set, orthogonal signal set, and introduction to the Fourier series, trigonometric Fourier series we will do here. Okay, so first we will see what is orthogonal set. So generally there is a similarity in between vectors and signals. That's why first we will start with respect to vectors. So in order to represent any one particular physical quantity in the space, okay, I am telling that is a physical quantity. Generally physical quantities are of two types, scalars and vectors. Now you take vector concept. Okay, so in order to represent that particular physical quantity which is having both magnitude and direction, that type of physical quantities I am dealing now. Okay, so in order to represent that particular physical quantity in the space, how we will represent? We will represent like, for example, that particular physical quantity we are representing with the A bar. A bar is equal to, I can take 3 into AX cap plus 4 into AY cap plus 5 into AZ cap. Like this I have represented one vector. Otherwise, in place of AX cap, AY cap and AZ cap, you can use I cap, J cap and K cap. What are these AX cap, AY cap, AZ cap or IJK? What are those things in the sense? Those are the unit vectors, okay, in the directions of X axis, Y axis and Z axis respectively. What about this numbers, this 3, 4, 5? This 3, 4, 5 are representing the components of this particular vector A bar on X axis, Y axis and Z axis respectively. This 3, 4, 5 are components, are projections. Okay, these are the projections of the vector A bar on X, Y, Z axis respectively. Okay, how much amount of projection is available of this particular A bar on the X axis is given by this 3. Okay, so we are writing the 3 as the coefficient for this particular AX cap. The projection of A bar on Y axis is 4, that we have represented as coefficient for AY cap. The projection of A bar on Z axis is 5, that we have represented as coefficient for AZ cap. So in this way we can able to represent one vector in the space. Okay, so you will get some doubts. Why only 3 components we have taken? What is the necessity of taking only 3 components? Why can't we represent this particular vector as 2 components or 1 component or more than 3 components? Why only 3 components only we have taken? Okay, so in the space, okay, you try to imagine this one. Can you draw the 4th axis which is perpendicular to the 3 perpendicular axes X, Y, Z? X axis is perpendicular to Y and Z, Y axis is perpendicular to X and Z, and z-axis is perpendicular to x and y. All these things already we know. So this is x-axis, this is y-axis. Where is z-axis? Z-axis is coming towards you. From the out of the board, the z-axis is coming. Okay. So we cannot able to represent that one because board is a two-dimensional thing. So I am going to represent the third axis that is actually coming out of the board like this. So in order to represent that one, I am taking like this. This is z-axis. Okay. Board is nothing but xy plane, xy surface. Okay. And z is coming out of the board. In order to represent that one, just I have taken like this. But you need to visualize this particular z-axis as the axis coming out of the board only like this. Okay. So now you see this one. Here only positive z-axis, positive x-axis, positive y-axis I have given. So negative x-axis is available like this. Negative y-axis is available like this. The positive z-axis is coming like this. So negative z-axis is going into the board. Okay, going into the board. Now you imagine in such a way that can you draw the fourth axis which is perpendicular to any one of these three? It is not possible. That means these three axes are the unit vectors which are in the directions of x-axis, y-axis, z-axis are complete set. That means I am talking about I, j, k, I cap, j cap and k cap. I am talking about these three. Or you can talk in terms of ax cap, ay cap, az cap. Okay. So we cannot able to take the fourth axis which is perpendicular to these three. That means we cannot able to take means already complete set is over. So these three are representing the complete set of the unit vectors in the directions of x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. So if any vector is there in the space, that vector is having the projections on these three only. Okay. If the projection of one particular vector like a bar on z-axis is 0, then you will not get this term. You will get only these two. That means the a bar is having the projections on x-axis that is 3 and also having the projection on the y-axis that is 4, and it is not having any projection on the z-axis, so it will become 0. 0 into az cap, that will become 0. Okay. So because these three are forming the complete set, we will say that in order to represent any one particular vector, this is a general notation. This is the general notation we will give. Okay. Because only three perpendicular axes are available. Here three unit vectors are available in the directions of x-axis, y-axis, z-axis respectively. So this is the standard notation of the vector. And already I said that there is a similarity in between the vectors and the signals. So in order to represent one signal in terms of the other signals, here you see I am telling ax cap, ay cap, az cap or I cap, j cap, k cap are the unit vectors. Those are also vectors only. And I said a bar is also the vector. So we have represented the a bar vector in terms of other vectors, like that I can say. Okay, the vector a bar has been represented in terms of the other vectors like ax cap, ay cap, az cap or izk. Okay, so what we have done? The projection of a bar on x-axis, how much is there? That we have calculated. The projection of a bar on y-axis, that we have calculated, that is 4. And the projection of a bar on the z-axis, we have calculated, that is 5. That means those projections we need to calculate it. Okay, it is about projections of the vector a bar on x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. Okay, about those projections only we are talking here. Okay, so similarly, one vector we need to take, one signal we have to take. This signal has to be represented in terms of the other signals. Here also one vector a bar has been represented in terms of the ax cap, ay cap, az cap. Like that, one signal we have to represent in terms of the other signals here. Okay, some standard summation of the other signals here. Here also summation we have taken. So here also summation I am taking. So I need to represent this particular signal in terms of the other signals as a summation of the other signals. Okay, but before that vector, what is there here? Coefficient. So like here also some coefficients will be available. Okay, so how to approach that one? But generally, why should we take these three only? means already I said those three are forming the complete set. Complete, I am using the word orthogonal. Orthogonal means x is perpendicular to y and z, y is perpendicular to x and z, and z is perpendicular to x and y. So these three are forming the complete orthogonal set. So if you know the complete orthogonal set, then we can represent this particular vector in terms of those particular orthogonal complete set of vectors. Okay. So no other vector is perpendicular to these three. That's why the complete set is over. Like that, in order to represent this signal in terms of the other signals, whatever the other signals we are using here, these signals must be orthogonal to each other. These signals must be orthogonal to each other. So that only I have given here. Orthogonal signal set. So in this, the signal has to be represented in terms of the other signals, but all these signals must be orthogonal to each other. Okay. So like how we have represented one vector a bar like this, 3 into I cap plus 4 into j cap plus 5 into k cap, or 3 into ax cap plus 4 into ay cap plus 5 into az cap. Similarly, here one vector has to be represented in terms of the other way, one signal has to be represented in terms of the other signals. All those signals must be orthogonal to each other. Okay. So now, how to find the orthogonal complete set of the orthogonal? Okay, orthogonal signals. For that purpose, now we are going to see this trigonometric Fourier series. There is a condition. In order to say two signals are orthogonal to each other means, so integral x1 of t into x2 of t dt is equal to 0. If this integral is equal to 0, then I can say these two signals are orthogonal to each other. These two signals are orthogonal to each other during the time duration up to where you have done the integration. That means, for example, integration we are doing from t1 to t2. Okay, integral t is changing from t1 to t2, x1 of t into x2 of t dt is equal to 0. If this integral is equal to 0, then I can say x1 of t is orthogonal to x2 of t during the time interval t1 to t2, because we have done the integration and that integration is becoming 0 during this time interval only, that is from t1 to t2. So this x1 of t and x2 of t, these two are orthogonal to each other during this time interval only, that is t1 to t2. So this is very important equation. We are going to use this equation several times in our coming lectures. So in order to say two signals are orthogonal to each other, what is the condition? Means the integral t is equal to t1 to t2, x1 of t into x2 of t dt is equal to 0. If it is not equal to 0, these two are not orthogonal. How did we take this condition? Means again from the vectors only. So for example, this is vector A and this is vector B. What is the projection of vector B on vector A? Means generally we will take like this. This is the projection. Okay, and theta is the angle made by B bar on A bar, and this is the projection. This is the length of the projection we can able to tell. Okay, so like this the projections will be happening. If this angle is increasing, okay, if this angle theta is increasing, then what will happen? B bar is like that only, the length of the B bar is like that only, but the angle between B bar and A bar we are increasing like this, and the length of B bar is also same. There is no change in the magnitude. Okay, now theta has been increased. Theta has been increased, but the projection has been decreased as compared to previous case. As theta is increasing as compared to this case, in this particular case, the projection has been decreased. Now you increase the theta further. If theta is approximately around 80 degrees now, this is beta. Length of the beta and length of the A are same. So now the projection of B bar on A bar is further reduced. Okay, very little amount of projection we got. If theta is becoming 90 degrees, if theta is becoming 90 degrees like this, then how much projection is there? Zero projection is there. Okay, that means here theta is equal to 90 degrees. It became 90 degrees. That means whenever 90 degrees is available in between A bar and B bar, the projection is equal to 0. That is the thing you have to remember. The projection is equal to 0 means, what is the meaning? These two are orthogonal to each other, or 90 degrees is there in between these two vectors. Okay, so what is the conclusion or what is the observation we have made from this analysis means, whenever two vectors are orthogonal to each other, the projection of one vector on the other vector is equal to 0. Like that. There is a equation for component of one vector on the other vector, that is C12. In this C12 equation, that means component means projection only. Okay, the component of one signal on the other signal is given by C12, that is integral T1 to T2 x1 of t into x2 of t dt divided by something is there. But in the numerator of this C12 we have this particular equation. But already I know that if these two signals are orthogonal to each other, this component or the projection must be equal to 0 according to this vector analysis. Okay, what did I understand from this vector analysis? By increasing the angle between A bar and B bar. If I keep on increasing the angle in between B bar and A bar, the projection of B bar on A bar has been decreased. And whenever the angle is equal to 90 degrees, the projection of B bar on A bar is becoming 0. That means orthogonal vectors are having the projections equal to 0. Similarly, orthogonal signals are also having the projections or the components are equal to zeros. So component is equal to 0. Already I am understanding that this x1 of t is orthogonal to x2 of t. So the component should be equal to 0. So whenever this equation, this component is equal to 0 means this equation you have to make equal to 0. So this numerator will become 0 by cross multiplying that one. So from that only we got this particular equation. Integral t is equal to t1 to t2 x1 of t into x2 of t dt is equal to 0. This equation you have to remember. And how did we get this equation means, and this is the reasons. These are the reasons for how did we get this particular equation. So finally, what is the conclusion? In order to say two signals x1 of t and x2 of t are orthogonal to each other, the integral t is changing from t1 to t2 x1 of t into x2 of t dt must be equal to 0. If this integral is 0, then I can say x1 of t is perpendicular to x2 of t during the time interval t1 to t2. This is the conclusion. Okay. So for any two signals, if this condition is satisfied, then I can say those two signals are orthogonal to each other. Okay. For any two signals, if this condition is satisfied, I can say those two signals are orthogonal to each other. Next. So in order to say two signals are orthogonal to each other, already I have given this condition, that is integral t is changing from t1 to t2 x1 of t into x2 of t dt is equal to 0. Then the x1 of t is perpendicular to x2 of t during the time interval t1 to t2, that already we know. And previously I said that the vector A bar we have taken like this: 3 into I cap plus 4 into j cap plus 5 into k cap, where 3, 4, 5 are the components of A bar on x-axis, y-axis, z-axis respectively, and I is perpendicular to j and j is perpendicular to k. K is perpendicular to I. Like this it is possible. So here x-axis is perpendicular to y-axis, y is perpendicular to z-axis. So complete set has been created. Like that, now we are going to search for, in signals we are going to search for the complete orthogonal set. If you can able to identify what is a complete orthogonal set, by using that particular complete orthogonal set we can represent any signal in terms of that particular orthogonal set. The Fourier series can be applicable for the periodic signals. Already in the beginning only I have told that one. So any periodic signal can be represented in terms of the orthogonal signal set. That orthogonal signal set we need to identify now. Okay, by using this particular condition. We know what is the condition for the orthogonality in between the two signals. That is, integral t is changing from t1 to t2, x1 of t, x2 of t dt is equal to 0. By using this equation, we need to identify what is the complete orthogonal set. Then by using that complete orthogonal set, we can able to represent any periodic signal. Okay, so now our intention is to get the complete orthogonal set. Okay, so we need to try with the, in case of trigonometric Fourier series, we need to try with cosine terms and sine terms. So first I will take like this. Cos of a plus b, first I will give the formula, it will be helpful for you. Cos of a plus b means cos a cos b minus sin a sin b. Cos of a minus b, cos a cos b plus sin a sin b. Sin of a plus b, sin a cos b plus cos a sin b. Next, sin of a minus b, sin a cos b minus cos a sin b. Okay, so these are the equations will be helpful to you. So whenever we are dealing with the 2 cos a cos b, what we need to do, we need to subtract these two. Sorry, we need to add these two. Whenever you need 2 sin a sin b or sin a sin b, you need to subtract these two. If you need sin a cos b, you need to add these two. If you need cos a sin b, you need to subtract these two. Like that you can able to perform. Next, cos 2a means cos square a minus sin square a. This can be rewritten as 2 cos square a minus 1 or 1 minus 2 sin square a. From this, I can write cos a is equal to 1 plus cos 2a by 2. Okay, 1 plus cos 2a by 2 root. Next, sin a, root of 1 minus cos 2a by 2. Okay, so these are the formulas you have to remember now. So in case of trigonometric Fourier series, we need to do this particular analysis for different signals. So first I am checking with cos t with cos 2t. This one I am checking. Okay, whether these two are orthogonal or not, I am going to check now. So in order to check orthogonality in between two signals, what is the condition we have to follow? This is the condition we need to follow. So over one period we will check. And one more important point is the integral of cos signal or sin signal over one period will be equal to 0. Why? Doing the integration means calculating the area. So if you take the sin signal is like this. Over one period, we are doing the integration means calculating the area. So you can take any one period. So this entire period means this is half period, positive area is there, and next half period here negative area is there. Actually, this positive area should be equal to negative area. So calculating total area over one period means positive area will be cancelled by negative area. Total area is equal to 0. Area is equal to 0 means integration is equal to 0. That means integration of sin integration of sine over one period, that may be 0 to t like this, or that may be minus t by 2 to plus t by 2, anything. Over one period is required. You need to do the integration over one period. That means you can take up to here, that means minus t by 2 to plus t by 2, or 0 to t by 2, whatever it may be. Over one period you need to do the integration. If over one period, if you do the integration, automatically the area will become 0. So every time whenever integral of sine or integral of cos is coming, means we will not do integration directly, we will put 0 only, because already this condition is there. This is for cos, sine I have shown. Now cos. So cos signal is looking like this. So in this way cos signal is available. Here 0, this is t by 4, and this is 2t by 4, this is 3t by 4, this is 4t by 4. That means from here to here one cycle is completed, t. Okay, this is minus t by 4, like that. So you can take from here to here as one cycle. That means minus t by 4 to 3t by 4. From here to here you can take minus 3t by 4 to 3t by 4. So positive area, negative area both will be cancelled. You will get integration is equal to 0. Already I told, over one period we need to do the integration. That may not be starting from 0. You can take from negative side to positive side. So minus 3t by 4 to 3t by 4. If you take upper limit minus lower limit, you should get one period, that is capital T of this cos. And one more important point is, whether it is cos 2t, whether it is cos t, whether it is cos t square, whatever it may be, if it is a cos function or if it is a sine function, the integral will become 0. The nature of the signal is cosine signal and cos signal, that's it. Okay, so several times we are going to use this one, so understand it very clearly. Integration of cosine function or sine function over one period, I am telling over one period only, over one period is equal to 0. These are the things you need to remember. Okay, then coming to our discussion now. So now I am checking the orthogonality between cos t and cos 2t. I am checking the orthogonality in between these two. In order to check the button, I am taking, this is the condition, t is equal to t1 to t2 x1 of t x2 of t dt. That means I am taking the integration in between two over one period only, that is 0 to t, or you can take minus t by 2 to plus t by 2, or minus t by 4 to 3t by 4, whatever you want. And x1 of t means first signal is cos t, into x2 of t means the second signal is cos 2t dt. Oh, it is in the form of cos a cos b. So we can put here 1 by 2, here 2, that means 2 cos a cos b. It is equal to 1 by 2 into integral t is from 0 to t. 2 cos a cos b means cos a plus b plus cos a minus b. Okay, those formulas are very, very important. 2 cos a cos b is nothing but cos of a plus b plus cos of a minus b. So cos of a plus b, a is nothing but t and b is nothing but 2t. Okay, so here we need to write cos a plus b, that means t plus 2t, that is 3t, plus cos a minus b, that means cos of t minus 2t, that means cos of minus t. Cos of minus t is also equal to cos t only, but sin of minus t is equal to minus sin t. Okay, so here we are writing as cos a plus b plus cos a minus b. So cos of minus t only you will get, but cos of minus t is the cos t. So into dt. Once again I am explaining this one. We are checking the orthogonality condition between the two signals, that is cos t and cos 2t. So x1 of t is nothing but cos t and x2 of t is nothing but cos 2t. So this is the integral we are taking. So integral t is changing from 0 to t. I have substituted. X1 of t means cos t and x2 of t means cos 2t. Now it is in the form of cos a cos b. So I have taken here 1 by 2 and 2. Now it is 2 cos a cos b. 2 cos a cos b, where a is nothing but t and b is nothing but 2t. So it is in the form of 2 cos a cos b. 2 cos A cos B can be written as cos of A plus B plus cos of A minus B. So cos of t plus 2t, that is cos A plus B means cos 3t we got, plus cos of A minus B, cos of t minus 2t, cos of minus t, but cos of minus t is again cos t. Like this I have written. So from this, how did we get this one? It is in the form of 2 cos A cos B, that I have written as cos of A plus B plus cos of A minus B. This 1 by 2 as it is we have taken. Okay. Then integration can be done individually for these two terms. So integration of cos 3t dt plus integration of cos t dt. So that I am writing here 1 by 2 integral t is changing from 0 to t cos 3t dt plus 1 by 2 is also multiplied for this integral, t is changing from 0 to t cos t dt. Okay, already I said that whether it is cos t, cos 3t, cos 4t, cos 100t or whatever it may be, it is the cos function. It is cos function. It is also cos function. Doing the integration over one period only. So for any cos function or sin function, if you do the integration over one period, that is nothing but calculation of area, that will become 0. That will become 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. What we got? This condition we have satisfied. The orthogonality condition is satisfied for these two signals, cos t and cos 2t. That means cos t is orthogonal to cos 2t. This one we have proved now. Okay, this is the thing. Cos t is orthogonal to cos 2t. Okay, next. Just now we have proved that cos t is orthogonal to cos 2t. Now I am going to check cos 2t whether it is orthogonal to cos 3t or not. This one I will check. Okay, so what is the orthogonality condition? Integral t is changing from 0 to t or t1 to t2, t1 to t2, x1 of t into x2 of t dt. It is equal to integral t is changing from 0 to capital T, x1 of t means cos 2t, x2 of t means cos 3t dt. It is equal to, it is in the form of cos A cos B. So I am writing here 1 by 2 2. That means now it is 2 cos A cos B. Again same formula. 2 cos A cos B means we need to write cos A plus B plus cos A minus B. So it is equal to 1 by 2 as it is I have taken. Integral t is changing from 0 to capital T. So it is in the form of 2 cos A cos B, that can be written as cos of A plus B. Cos of 2t plus 3t, that is 5t. Cos of A plus B I have written now. Then cos of A minus B, that means cos of 2t minus 3t, that is cos of minus t, that is cos t. So for these two cos terms, now we need to do the integration individually. So integral cos 5t dt plus integral cos t dt. So cos function doing the integration over one period will give 0 plus 0, that is equal to 0. So now we have proved that this orthogonality condition has been satisfied for the two signals. Those are cos 2t and cos 3t. So these two are also orthogonal to each other. Now you can able to imagine one thing. Cos t is already orthogonal to cos 2t. Cos 2t is also orthogonal to cos 3t. That means cos t is also orthogonal to cos 3t. Okay. Then like that you can try for cos 3t and cos 4t. Those two will become orthogonal. Cos 4t, cos 5t will become orthogonal. Cos 5t, cos 6t will become orthogonal. Cos 100t, cos t will become orthogonal. Any two cos functions will be orthogonal to each other. That means can we stop here that orthogonal set we have identified like that? Can we stop here? No. We need to check for the sin functions also. Okay. So now I am checking for the sin function. I am checking for sin t and sin 2t. For these two I am checking the orthogonality. Directly I am writing here integral t changing from 0 to capital T, sin t, here sin 2t. So it is in the form of sin A sin B. So I am writing 2 here and also 2 here, denominator and numerator, without changing the value. Now it is in the form of 2 sin A sin B. 2 sin A sin B. For this, what is the formula I told previously for you? 1 by 2 integral t is changing from 0 to t. Now it is 2 sin A sin B. For this 2 sin A sin B, what is the formula I have given previously? Cos of A minus B minus cos of A plus B. So this one you need to follow. Generally cos of A minus B means what? Cos A cos B plus sin A sin B. Okay. Next, individually, what is the equation for cos A plus B? Cos A cos B minus sin A sin B. So here cos A cos B is there. Here also cos A cos B is there. But here in front minus is there. So cos A cos B terms will be cancelled. Next, here plus sin A sin B is there. And individually here minus sin A sin B is there. That minus will be multiplied with one more minus. So you will get here sin A sin B. So here one sin A sin B. Here one more sin A sin B will become 2 sin A sin B. Okay. Now we have this one here. 2 sin A sin B, where A is equal to t and B is equal to 2t. So apply this condition here. So I need to write here first cos A minus B. That means cos of t minus 2t minus cos of t plus 2t. So it is equal to, it is cos of minus t we will get. Already I told that cos of minus t is also equal to cos t only. That means it is cos t. So 1 by 2 integral t is changing from 0 to t. It is cos t minus cos of t plus 3t, that is cos 3t. So again integration of cos function minus integration of another cos function over one period. So it will become 0. It will also become 0. Totally it is equal to 0. So we have understood that this integral in between for the product sin t and sin 2t is equal to 0. That means sin t is orthogonal to sin 2t. Similarly, you can check for sin 2t is also orthogonal to sin 3t. Okay, sin 3t is also orthogonal to sin 4t. Okay. So what are the results we got that I am writing here? Cos t is orthogonal to cos 2t. This one we have proved. And it is also orthogonal to cos 3t. And it is also orthogonal to cos 4t. And so on. Like this, many signals we can take. Now just now we have proved that sin t is orthogonal to sin 2t. And sin 2t is orthogonal to sin 3t. You can check this one. Sin 2t is orthogonal to sin 3t. That one you can able to check. And it is also orthogonal to sin 4t. Okay, you can check all these things. Like this, so many signals will come. Now we are going to check the orthogonality in between one sine function, one cos function. So I am taking cos t and sin t. This one I am taking. And I am going to check orthogonality condition in between these two. So integral t is from 0 to t cos t and sin t. What is the equation for the orthogonality? Integral t is equal to t1 to t2 x1 of t into x2 of t dt. So in place of x1 of t I have taken cos t. In place of x2 of t I have taken sin t. That means I am checking the orthogonality condition in between these two. Okay. And the limits I am taking over one period. That one I am taking from 0 to t. You no need to take 0 to t only. You can take any one period. That means minus t by 4 to 3t by 4 or minus t by 2 to plus t by 2. The integration should be over one period. Okay. So now it is in the form of sin A cos B. I am writing here 2 and here also 2. So now it is looking like 2 sin A cos A. 2 sin A cos A means already we know that sin 2A. Sin 2A means here t. 2t. Okay. Sin 2t means 2 sin t cos t. Like sin 2A means 2 sin A cos A. Here sin 2t is there, that is 2 sin t cos t. So already I have mentioned for any cos signal or sin signal over one period total integration will become 0. So this integration is equal to 0. So orthogonality condition we have satisfied means here cos t is orthogonal to sin t. That means You see now very carefully. All the cos functions are orthogonal to each other. All the sine functions are orthogonal to each other. Now we have understood that cos is also orthogonal to sine function, or sine is orthogonal to cos function. Now you can check any other two terms. That means cos 3t sin 2t or cos 3t sin 4t or sin 100t, whatever it may be. That means all the cos functions are orthogonal to each other, all the sine functions are orthogonal to each other, and all cosines are all the cos terms are orthogonal to all the sine terms also. So what is the complete set now? If you take only this one, it is not a complete set, because this cos t is also orthogonal to this set also, this particular entire set also. Cos 2t is also orthogonal to this entire particular set. Sin 3t is also orthogonal to cos 3t. So one complete set we have to take. How we have represented one vector like a bar as 3 I cap plus 4 j cap and plus 5 k cap. Why can't we represent only with these two? Means some information is missing here on the z-axis. Okay, on the z-axis the projection of a bar is available. If you don't take this one, if you stop by taking only the projection of a bar on x-axis as 3 and on y-axis as 4, you are missing the information, that is the projection of a bar on the z-axis, that is 5. So we have to take total information of a bar. That means we should take all the components, all the projections of the a bar and all the orthogonal set of vectors. Okay, or axis like x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. Similarly, in order to represent one periodic signal, we need to take total complete orthogonal set. If you take only cos terms, there may be the projections, there may be the components of that particular periodic signal with respect to the sine functions. Or if you take only sine functions, the projections are missing with respect to cos functions. So we need to take total orthogonal set. Now what is our orthogonal set? This cos terms and sine terms, those are the complete orthogonal set. Okay. So now you have understood what is the complete orthogonal set in case of signals. Okay. What is that one? That we will see. So now we can able to start the trigonometric Fourier series. Okay, this is actually the trigonometric Fourier series expression. How did we achieve this one? Now I am going to tell. Just now we have seen complete orthogonal set where we have understood that cos t is orthogonal to cos 2t, it is orthogonal to cos 3t, it is orthogonal, and so on. And this is also orthogonal to sin t, and sin t is orthogonal to sin 2t, and sin 2t is orthogonal to sin 3t, and so on. Like this, complete set is available. Okay. So in order to represent one signal, you need to take this entire complete set. How we have taken in order to represent one vector a bar in terms of the ijk, in terms of the projections of a bar on the x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, like 3 into I cap plus 4 into j cap plus 5 into k cap. Why we need to take all the three? Means without missing any information of a bar, without missing any projection of a bar on the three axis, we need to take completely. Like that, here also, in order to represent one periodic signal, we need to take all these terms. All these terms must be included. Okay. So for that purpose, for example, one f of t signal I am taking. This is the periodic signal. This signal has to be represented like this. A naught cos of 0 into omega naught into t. Why should I represent like this? Means here fundamental frequency is omega naught and it is multiplied with 0. That means frequency is 0. Cos 0 is 1. 1 into some a naught, some coefficient we have taken. It is just like a number. That means it is related to DC term. Okay. So DC signals can also be taken as DC signal is also periodic signal. Plus now actual frequency, fundamental frequency we need to take. That means 1 into omega naught will come. So 1 into omega naught into t. So for this cos term, and here this 1 is indicating here a1. This 0 is indicating here a naught. Next, now cos 2 omega naught into t. Cos 2 omega naught into t. So in order to represent this multiple of 2, to represent this multiple of 2, I am taking here a2. Similarly, cos now 3 times of omega naught into t. This 3 is nothing but here a3. Like this we can able to represent up to infinity number of terms. Okay, so now cos functions are over. Now sin functions. Plus similarly, if I represent b naught sin of 0 into omega naught into t. So sin 0 is 0. 0 into b naught is 0. That's why you will not find b naught term in this one. Okay, that we will see later. You see here a naught is there. Here cos 0 is 1. 1 into a naught is a naught. But you will not find b naught in this expression. What is the reason? Sin 0 is 0. 0 into b naught is 0. That's why you will not find here b naught. Okay. So plus b1 into sin of 1 into omega naught into t plus b2 into sin of 2 into omega naught into 3 plus b3 into sin of 3 into omega naught into t and so on. Like this, all the cos terms, all the sin terms we can able to take. Now it is equal to a naught into 1, already I told about that one, a naught only, plus this b naught into sin 0 is 0 only. So this will not be available in the final equation. So here a1 b1, these two terms I am writing at one place. Okay, so a1 cos 1 into omega naught into t plus b1 sin n into 1 into omega naught into t over. Now a2 b2, these two terms I am writing at one place. a2 cos of 2 into omega naught into t plus b2 sin of 2 into omega naught into t and so on. Okay, so it is equal to a naught plus, now if you observe, a1 cos 1 into omega naught into t plus b1 sin of n into omega, 1 into omega naught into t. Next, a2 cos of 2 omega naught into t plus b2 sin of 2 into omega naught into t. What are the next term? a3 cos 3 omega naught into t plus b3 sin 3 into omega naught into t. That means a1 here cos 1 into omega naught, b1 sin 1 into omega naught, a2 cos 2 into omega naught, b2 sin 2 into omega naught. Next, a3 cos 3 omega naught, b3 sin 3 omega naught, a4 cos 4 omega naught, b4 sin 4 omega naught. That means all those things can be generalized like this: an cos n omega naught into t plus bn sin n omega naught into t. This is the nth term. Like that we can able to take. Next, sigma, because all are plus terms only, all are added. That's why sigma n is equal to we need to start from here. That means 1. So if you take n is equal to 1, these two terms will be covered here. a1 cos 1 into omega naught into t plus b1 sin of 1 into omega naught into t. If you take n is equal to 2, a2, here you see a2 cos 2 omega naught t plus b2 sin 2 omega naught t. If you take n is equal to 3, a3 cos 3 into omega naught into t plus b3 sin of 3 omega naught into t. Like that, so many terms, up to infinity number of terms. That's why sigma n is changing from 1 to infinity. Okay, don't put here 0. For 0 only we got here a naught. Okay, so this sigma should be starting from n is equal to 1 only, 1 to infinity. Don't forget this one. So finally, like this, we have represented one periodic signal f of t in terms of cosine functions and sine functions. If you observe this one, a naught is also related to cosine function only. A naught is also related to cosine function only. B naught is also available, but because multiplication with sine 0, it will become vanish. So you will not find b naught term here. Here a1 b1, a2 b2, a3 b3 only in this sigma, and outside of the sigma here a naught is there, but not b naught. Okay, so this observation you have to take very carefully. So this is the final expression we can able to tell. F of t is the periodic signal, that is equal to a naught plus sigma n is from 1 to infinity an cos of n omega naught t plus bn sin of n omega naught t. This is the trigonometric Fourier series because we have represented the periodic signal f of t in terms of the trigonometric functions, cosine function and the sine function. Okay, now here you are observing one periodic signal f of t. We know that what is periodic signal? If the signal x of t is equal to x of t plus capital T, where capital T is the fundamental time period, then we can tell that is nothing but periodic signal. That condition has to be satisfied for infinity amount of time. Then we can tell that is a periodic signal. Here also, this particular triangle is repeating forever, and this triangle is available for the duration 0 to 1 second with peak amplitude here 1 is there. So this triangle again and again it has been come. So it is a periodic signal. For this periodic signal we can represent the Fourier series. That means this entire graphical representation, entire triangle, this sawtooth wave is there actually. So this graphical representation we can able to write as the mathematical equation. The signal is equal to, we can write in terms of cos and sin. That is the beauty of the Fourier series. Cos is like this actually. All the cos terms are available like this. All the sin terms are available like this. But this signal is like this. But this signal we are writing in terms of the cos and sin. This signal we are writing in terms of the cos and sin. So this is approximately, we are approximating this entire signal in terms of the cosine and the sine functions. Now we will see how to do the problem, one problem. Okay, trigonometric Fourier series means this one. The question will be asked like this. The signal will be given to you and find the trigonometric Fourier series. Find trigonometric Fourier series for the signal f of t. Like this the question will be given to you. Then what is the approach we need to follow? Okay, what is the procedure in order to do the problem, that we will see. So f of t is nothing but this one. Here a naught sigma n is changing from 1 to infinity a n cos n omega naught t plus b n sin of n omega naught t. How to do this one? What did I tell? We need to represent this signal f of t in terms of cosine and sine terms. That means we need to identify what is the a naught value available in this signal, what is a n, what is b n. This is our work. Okay, so we need to find a naught value, a n value, b n value. If you can able to identify, or if you can able to find the values of a naught, a n, b n, the problem is over. After finding these three, just we need to keep those three in this equation. Like for example, a naught is equal to 2. Okay, you got 2. So put here 2. 2 plus sigma n is from 1 to infinity. A n you got like n by pi. Put here n by pi. Cos of n omega naught t you need to write. We are calculating only a naught, a n, b n. Okay, after calculating those three, just we need to put a naught value, a n value, b n value in this equation, and remaining sigma, this cos n omega naught t, sin n omega naught t will be as it is. Only those three should be replaced here. Okay, then finally the equation will be available. For example, bn is equal to 0 and an is equal to 2 by pi we have calculated, n by pi we have calculated. Next a naught is equal to 2 ane vachindi. Okay, then f of t is equal to 2 plus sigma n is from 1 to infinity n by pi cos of n omega naught t plus 0 into sin of n omega naught t. So it will become 0. So this is the final expression. That's it. That is the trigonometric Fourier series for the f of t. But what is a naught, what is a n, what is b n? How to calculate those means now we are going to find equations for the a naught, a n, b n. What are these three? These three are trigonometric Fourier series coefficients. Okay, a naught, a n, b n. These are trigonometric Fourier series coefficients. So finding the coefficients is very, very important. If you know the coefficients, then only you can able to write the Fourier series. Okay. Now, before going to find all those coefficients, now another representation we have given from the trigonometric Fourier series only. So this one already we have taken. F of t is equal to a naught plus sigma n is from 1 to infinity a n cos of n omega naught t plus b n sin of n omega naught t. That is the trigonometric Fourier series. Now from this one, only in terms of cosine functions. Actually it is involving cosine function and cosine function and sine function. But instead of representing in both terms like cosine and sine, we can represent only in terms of the cosine also. That is also possible. Okay. So how to get that one, that we will see. So if you observe these two, f of t is equal to a naught, f of t is equal to d naught. So here DC terms, here DC term, average term or mean, these three are same. So all these things are given by a naught only. A naught is nothing but DC. Okay. So already I have given about that one. And that is equal to d naught in this case. But what is dn? dn is nothing but square root of an square plus bn square, and phi n is nothing but tan inverse of bn by an. So if you have an, bn, it is easy to calculate dn and phi n. Okay, a naught is equal to d naught. So if you know an, bn, c, a naught, you can able to write this cosine representation also with these equations. But how did we get these equations? So dn is equal to, how can I write square root of an square plus bn square, and phi n is equal to how can I write tan inverse of bn by an, and how this equation has come. All these things we will see now. So generally we know, already we proved that cos functions are orthogonal to sine functions. So this coefficient is also orthogonal. So I am taking, this is the an value, this is the bn value. Why did I take like this only, also I will tell. Okay. Then here what happened in between these two? In between these two, addition has been happened. So this is one vector, this is another vector. So by adding these two vectors, the resultant vector will come like this. This one already we know, that is the vector addition. That one I have given here. So this is an vector, or this is, actually these are coefficients. For the understanding purpose I am taking, this is one vector, this is another vector. By adding those two, this red vector we will get. Okay. So this red vector is nothing but dn. Okay, so how to get dn value? Actually, dn value can be obtained by taking parallel vector here, that is like this, that is bn here. So in between these two, 90 degrees is there. So if you take only magnitudes, this will become hypotenuse. So hypotenuse is equal to square root of two sides, square of this sum of this squares of the sides, that is an square plus bn square. Like that we got here. dn is equal to square root of an square plus bn square. Next, with respect to this x-axis direction, this vector is moving in terms of the anti-clockwise direction. Sorry, clockwise direction. If anti-clockwise is there, that is positive angle. Clockwise is there, means that is negative angle. That's why negative we have taken. And how much amount of angle is there? This is the right angle triangle. Here, particular angle phi n is there. So phi n is equal to that means tan of phi n is equal to opposite side by adjacent side, that is bn. Tan phi n is equal to bn by an. So phi n is equal to tan inverse of bn by an. These are the things. Okay, because it is in the anti-clockwise clockwise direction, here we have taken minus, because by adding some angle to the cos, then only we will get the sine. Okay, by adding 90 degrees to the cos, we will get a sine signal. That's why we have taken like this. Okay. So, and one more time I am telling. So, one parallel vector we have taken here, that is bn. Then it will become the right angle triangle. Okay. So, this is the right angle 90 degrees. Opposite to that one, whatever the side is there, that is the hypotenuse. So, if you apply the Pythagoras rule, this hypotenuse side dn square is equal to an square plus bn square. So, dn is equal to square root of an square plus bn square. Like that we got the magnitude. Next, this particular phase. Okay, that angle. How did we get this angle? Since it is a right angle triangle, I can apply tan or sine, whatever it may be. So tan phi n is equal to opposite side is bn by adjacent side an. So from this phi n is equal to tan inverse of bn by an. And y minus means already I have explained it, because that is in the clockwise direction. Okay. So in this way we can able to represent a cosinusoidal representation also. This is called cosinusoidal representation because only cosine function is there. Here cosine and sine both are there. That's why it is a trigonometric representation. So if you know trigonometric, it is easy to write cosine also. Okay. So this is the thing. Now, what is first harmonic? That is first fundamental time period. That is omega naught. Okay. This omega naught, whenever here n is equal to 1, you will get omega naught terms only. That is a1 cos omega naught into t plus b1 sin omega naught into t. So only omega naught is there, then that is called first harmonic. Okay. Next, harmonics is nothing but we can able to take integer multiples of the fundamental period. So integer multiples of the fundamental period means n omega naught, where n is changing. Okay. N is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that it is changing. That's why we have given here. Okay, so fundamental frequency only multiplied with the integer, that is like here n. Okay, if you see n omega naught, n is changing, n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only integers we have to take. Next, a naught, an, bn. First I will give the formulas for a naught, an, bn. Next we will see the proofs. A naught is nothing but 1 by t integral t is changing from 0 to t, or you can take from minus t by 2 to plus t by 2, or you can take from minus t by 4 to 3t by 4, or any over one period. If you see upper limit minus lower limit, you will get capital T. Upper limit minus lower limit, you will get capital T. Upper limit minus lower limit, you will get capital T. So instead of representing like this, you need to remember the integration will be happened over one period. That thing you have to remember. Then you can able to do the problems easily. Okay. So in order to insist that one, I am taking here. Like this I am taking. What is the notation here I have taken? The notation is like this. Integration with respect to t. So I will not write this t also, because here dt anyway I will write. So that is insisting we are doing the integration with respect to t. But after this integral, in the bottom side I have written t naught or t I will represent. So what is the meaning of this one? You do the integration over capital T. That is the meaning. Okay, that means over one period we are doing the integration. Now the equation will be f of t dt. This is the formula for a naught. Okay, a naught is equal to 1 by t integral over one period for the f of t dt. Okay, so this over one period you can take any time to any time, but the duration should be equal to capital T. Okay, and it is equal to, if you see this equation very carefully, already I told about a naught, that is DC value or average value or mean value. These three are same. So DC value present in the signal is given by a naught, and that is equal to 1 by time period integral f of t dt. Integral is nothing but area. So area of f of t, area of signal over one period. Over one period, we have to do area of the signal over one period by time period. By capital T is there, by time period. Okay, in words we can able to tell like this. So if area is equal to 0, numerator is equal to 0, that means a naught is equal to 0. That means the DC content is not available in that particular signal. Okay, for whatever the signals are having the DC value is equal to 0, for all those signals a naught will become 0. You no need to do this particular integration also. Just by observing the signal you can able to tell whether the area of that particular signal over one period is equal to 0 or not. That thing you can able to identify. If it is possible, then you can able to take a naught is equal to 0, and an is nothing but the formula is 2 by t integral over again one period f of t cos of n omega naught t dt. This is the formula for an. Next, bn is nothing but 2 by t integral over one period f of t sin of n omega naught t dt. This is the formula for bn. So these three formulas are enough to represent one particular periodic signal in terms of the trigonometric Fourier series or cosinusoidal representation. Okay, a naught 1 by t integral f of t dt, integration should be over one period. An is equal to 2 by t integral f of t cos of n omega naught t dt, integration should be over one period. Bn is equal to 2 by t integral f of t sin of n omega naught t, integration should be over one period. Okay, so f of t will be given to you. Over one period we need to do the integration. That means over one period, what is the mathematical expression for the f of t that you need to find. So substitute that one, do the integration over one period, and multiply with 1 by t, you will get a naught value. Similarly, you can able to calculate an and bn values also. After calculating these three, you need to keep these three in these places. Okay. For example, a naught is equal to 2, an is equal to n by pi, and bn is equal to 0. Substitute these three in this equation. Then f of t is equal to 2 plus sigma n is from 1 to infinity n by pi cos n omega naught t plus 0. Okay, that is the Fourier series representation for the given periodic signal. Okay, so this is the way. Now we will see the proofs for a naught, an, bn. How to get a naught value? Just integrate this equation over one period, then you will get a naught value. So I am doing the integration for this entire equation, left side, right side, over one period. So integral f of t dt, it is equal to a naught is constant, so we can write outside dt plus sigma also I am writing outside an integral cos n omega naught t dt plus bn integral sin n omega naught t dt. By seeing this equation, it is looking very big equation, but very simple equation, because we need to do the integration over one period, capital T, capital T, capital T, capital T. Already I have told that for sine function or cos function over one period, the integration will become 0 because this positive area is cancelled by negative area. This positive area is cancelled by negative area in sine function and cos function respectively. Okay. So over one period cos integration is equal to 0. Over one period sine integration is also equal to 0. So up to here it is 0 only. So it is equal to a naught into integration dt. That means integration 1 with respect to t is small t, but we need to do the integration over one period. For example, that is from 0 to capital T. It is equal to a naught into upper limit minus lower limit, that is a naught into capital T. This side integration is there. So a naught is equal to, send that to t this side, then you will get 1 by t integral over one period f of t dt. This is the proof for the a naught value. Okay, previously in the previous slide I have shown the same equation for you. Okay, a naught is equal to 1 by t integral f of t over one period dt. So this is the proof for that one. What we have done for that, for this equation only we have done the integration over one period. With that only one step we got the equation for the a naught. Now we will see the proof for the an. What is the proof for this one means, first you multiply this entire equation with cos n omega naught. We need an. So you multiply with the cos n omega naught. Okay, so multiplying this equation with cos n omega naught we will get like this. Left side and right side we need to multiply with cos n omega naught. So left side f of t cos n omega naught t is equal to a naught cos n omega naught t plus sigma n is equal to 1 to infinity an. Already cos is there, again we are multiplying with cos, that will become cos square n omega naught t plus bn. Sin n omega naught t is there, sin n omega naught into t, we are multiplying with the cos n omega naught t. Okay, so sigma is available for these two terms. Now if you see this equation very carefully, we can write like this: a naught cos n omega naught t, as it is I have written, plus sigma n is from 1 to infinity. It is in the form of cos square theta. So cos square theta means we can write 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2. Previously I have given the equations for you. You can check that one. So cos square theta, where theta is the n omega naught t. So cos square theta means I can write, otherwise here I am writing the equation for you. Cos square theta can be written as 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2, where here theta is equal to n omega naught t. So 1 plus cos 2n omega naught t. Theta means n omega naught t. 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2 plus bn. If you take here by 2, here 2 will come, 2 sin theta cos theta. 2 sin theta cos theta means sin 2 theta. Like this you will get. Okay. So now left side what is there? F of t cos of n omega naught into t. Like this will get. Okay. So now do the integration. So integration over one period, integration over one period. For this also integration over one period. For these two terms I am writing integral dt. For this also integral dt. So left side it will be as it is integral t over one period f of t cos of n omega naught t dt, and this is a naught is the constant, we can write outside integral cos function. Integral cos function over one period means this will give 0. 0 into a naught will become 0. And here you see integral over one period for the sine function. You no need to see this angle. That is the sine function. That is enough. This angle may be 2n omega naught t or 100n into omega naught t, whatever it may be. You no need to see this particular angle. It is the sine function. You are doing the integration over one period. That is enough. We can say this integral is equal to 0. But if you see this one, here 1 by 2 plus cos 2n omega naught t by 2 is there. Here two terms are there. For those two terms we need to do the integration here over one period. Okay. So for the first term it is equal to sigma n is from 1 to infinity an by 2 integral dt. That is the first term. Okay. An by 2 integral 1 into dt. Next one is integral an by 2 into cos of n 2n omega naught t. So that is the cos function. We are doing the integration over one period. So we know that will become 0. So here sigma is not required. Oh sorry, here integration is there. So this is equal to an by 2 integral 1 with respect to small t means we will get t. By substituting the limits we will get here capital T. Okay. And this side what is there? Integral over one period f of t cos n omega naught into t dt. So from this you can write equation for the an. An is equal to this t by 2. If you send this side it will become 2 by t integral over one period f of t into cos n omega naught into t dt. So this is the equation for the an. This equation only I have shown in the previous slides. An is equal to 2 by t integral over one period f of t cos of n omega naught t dt. Okay. So what is the procedure we have applied here to get the an value? What did we do? This is the trigonometric Fourier series. Since an is already multiplied with cos n omega naught t, you again multiply this one, this entire equation left side and right side with cos n omega naught t and do the integration over one period. You will get the equation for an. What is the procedure we have applied to get a naught value? Here a naught is multiplied with 1 only. Okay, it is not multiplied with cos term or sin term. So directly you do the integration over one period. You will get a naught term. Now we have multiplied with cos n omega naught t on both sides. Then we have done the integration. We got an value. Now you tell what we need to do to get the bn value. We need to multiply with the total equation left side and right side by sin n omega naught t. Then it will become f of t sin n omega naught t is equal to a naught sin n omega naught t plus sigma n is from 1 to infinity an cos n omega naught t by multiplying with sin n omega naught t plus bn sin square n omega naught t. Okay, that is like a sin square theta. That can be written as 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2. Then you will do the integration over one period for the entire equation. Then you will get bn value. What is the bn value you will get? Bn value you will get like 2 by t integral over one period f of t sin n omega naught t dt. This is the bn value you will get. Okay, this one you can able to try. Okay. So in this way we can able to get a naught value, an value, bn value. After calculating these three coefficients for the given signal, we can able to keep those three values in this particular equation. Then we can tell this is the trigonometric Fourier series for the given equation. Or we can able to identify the cosinusoidal representation of the particular given signal also. And these are the assignment questions. What is Fourier series? Write expressions for the Fourier series coefficients, trigonometric Fourier series coefficients, and you can able to do the proofs also for that one. Proofs are very important. Okay. Thank you.